Hi, from PTSI, again from my home office. I hope everyone is staying happy, healthy, and safe. Today I want to talk a little bit about changes. Um, Everything that we're going through could potentially result in some pretty severe changes for us in the industry. You know, we need to really take a look at the way we work. Will we continue to work remotely? Will part of your staff continue to work remotely? Will increased efficiencies call for more people working from home now that we know we all have found out that we actually can do it? So we need to take a look at that. And if not, what about the environment that you work in, your office space? Is one big office opening going to work for us anymore? Are we going to really need to put petitions in or cubicles or something to protect our employees? We need to really kind of think about that. And what about personal protective equipment? Do you think as organizations we'll need to provide that for our office staff, our support staff, and as well as our bus drivers and attendants? These are all things that really need to be thought about. The other thing is, what about the school day? If you think that the conversations regarding what the school day will look like moving forward have not happened, I think you might be mistaken. And if you and your school district have not heard anything about that conversation, it would behoove you to find it, to ask the questions, find out where that conversation is happening, and make sure transportation is included in that conversation. Because that has the domino effect that we've seen so many times that winds up in the laps of school transportation. And we want to be in on the ground floor and really contribute to that planning. Part of that planning and that potential change in the school day could have dramatic impacts on the bus ride. What do our capacities look like? How many buses are we going to need to really execute the plan that is arrived at? And then what about the cleaning processes that we need to now think about doing in between uses? Cleaning a bus once a week. When I drove bus, we cleaned our buses once a week. We swept and we wiped things down. We may have to do that several times a day now. And how does that process work? And how does it fit into your school bus staff's day? So, a lot of things that need to be thought out. Another thing is that we employ some older retired folks, make great school bus drivers oftentimes, but they're part of a very vulnerable classification when it comes to this virus and potential viruses down the road. So what about them? Is it possible we could lose some people? Maybe. And if so, what does your recruitment program look like right now? Have you found ways to really keep bringing new people in the door while you're shut down? Because when this whole thing gets back geared up, you may need to replace some drivers. You may need more drivers than you did before the shutdown. So, something to think about. And one of the things that I think about, at least at PTSI, is that whenever there's a change made, and my staff can tell you this, I'm so guilty of sitting back, making what I think is a great change, and then executing it. And then the next thing I know, one of them is at my door saying, "Did you do blank?" And I'll say, "Yeah, wasn't that great?" And then they proceed to tell me all of the negative impacts that all down the line from one office to the other, and how that affected the way they work. And so communicating change in process, change in philosophies, change in whatever needs to be communicated. And it needs to be communicated ahead of the change, reinforced throughout the change, and then reiterated, over and over again until people really kind of bring it into their daily routine. So communication, which has always personally been my challenge, which, you may find hard to believe. I don't know. But so communication. Yeah. there are so many questions abounding right now, but every question that comes to me could lead to a potential change, whether it's a change in a regulatory requirement or a change in the way you think about, managing your personnel, or a change in the way you load your bus or unload your bus. All of those questions could potentially lead to change. And quite honestly, none of us are really good with change. So it's something that really has to be managed carefully, sensitively, and be communicated very well. Well thought out plans for all the stakeholders and assessment of potential negative impacts really needs to be handled carefully, managed well, and have it result in the most effective plan for moving forward when the country reopens, which we all hope happens very soon, right? So, you're probably getting a little tired of me sitting in a room talking to myself and recording it so you can listen in. I don't know. But think things through, try to anticipate changes, and communicate them very well. That's my thought for this week. Stay healthy. Talk to you later. Bye.